What is going on, people? In this video we are going to find out what is the range on the Co-Op CTY 2.1 e-bike. This video is going to be extra good. Why? Because we got a special guest with us today.
Hey guys!
We've got Chelsea, who also has a Co-Op CTY 2.1 e-bike. So a few things that we need to mention right off the bat before we get started, just so we kind of understand the results we're going to get on the batteries, is number one, my bike is a medium, Chelsea's bike is a small. That in itself is not really enough to have an effect on the battery, but it's just worth noting because there is a slight difference in weight, but you're not going to see pounds of difference. These bikes are about 50.5 pounds as listed by the REI website. Now, the most critical factor is going to be our rider weight. I weigh about 45 pounds more than Chelsea does, and I do have cargo on the back of my bike. I've got several drinks in there and a few odds and ends. Actual weight, I don't know for sure, but I would say it's probably about 10 to 15 pounds, roundabout, maybe a little more. And Chelsea's also going to be carrying a backpack that's got several drinks, so she's probably got another 10 to 15 pounds easy as well. So the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to perform this test with the bikes in high mode the whole time, and we're also going to have the headlights on, so they're going to be fully powered up as far as they come equipped. And we're also going to do a little bit of pedal assist manipulation, I like to call it, where basically we're going to just stay in the torque. You kind of just keep your input level to where the bike is always assisting. So we're going to basically get a least case scenario for the battery life. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is August 8th, 2023. The current weather, we actually lucked out. It's actually pretty nice this morning. We got a little bit of cloud cover, and it's about 80 degrees, and we're looking at about 100 degrees for the high today, which is fairly mild for this time of year, but worth mentioning just so we kind of have some context for what the batteries are going through. A few other things we need to mention. The age of these bikes and the age of the batteries. My bike is about 1 year older than Chelsea's bike, and let's just go ahead and check the miles on these. Go ahead and scroll through your mileage. I'm gonna get mine turned on. We both did reset our tachometers this morning. Chelsea had to go a little bit farther than me, so her tach is going to reflect slightly more than mine does. But let's just do the odometers real quick. I think we're going to see the tach as we start as well. So I've already went 0.9 miles as we get to start this test, and my odometer has got 1,621 miles on it. And I've used my bike for some commuting to work and some riding around, so my battery's got a few cycles on it. Chelsea's odometer has 406 miles on it. She also uses this bike primarily for commuting, and obviously her battery's a little bit younger and got a little bit less cycles, so it's going to be interesting to see. We got a little bit different rider weight, and we've got a little bit different battery age, so we'll see what type of results that yields, just to give people an idea of what they can get out of these. Also on our ride, unfortunately I'm not going to have any way of measuring like our total elevation, but we are going to do some hill riding. We are going to do a combination of hills and flat. We're out here, we're going to basically ride towards West Las Vegas, which is going to take us uphill quite a bit of the ways till we reach the edge of town. We'll see where we're at on our range at that point, and we'll just continue to ride around, go up and down hills, and just put this battery to the ringer until it goes completely dead. We're going to ride these bikes until they shut off, or we're going to find out what happens anyway. And we'll kind of just tune in and do some updates as the battery life starts to drop. You can see when these start, they've got 5 bars on the battery indicator, so we're going to keep them or routinely check in. And also Chelsea's got 0.9 on her tach, so she's got
I reset mine at your house.
a few more. So then she actually had more than that apparently. You weren't supposed to do that.
I know, I forgot.
You weren't supposed to do that.
Sorry, guys.
So she might have another mile on there. So
It was 1.5.
So unfortunately, the test has been skewed by a mile because Chelsea's not listening. But anyway, you got 5 bars, so we're gonna pay attention to that as we go, and we'll just update where we're at on the miles and how the battery depletes as we go. Another thing that needs to be mentioned is that this particular model bike is no longer being listed on REI's website. However, we have seen them on the showroom floor of the retailer this year. So the bikes are still being sold new. I just don't think they're manufacturing them anymore, and there will be a used market for them. But most importantly, these bikes are equipped with Shimano electrical. They have the E5000 motor and the E8014 battery, which is a 36 volt 418 watt hour battery, and the motor is 250 watt with 40 newton meters of max torque output. So regardless of, you know, whether these are going to be manufactured anymore, you're still getting good data out of this range because Shimano is widely used in the e-bike market, and either way, it's probably just still interesting to watch and get an idea of what's out there. So let's get started and do some riding.
Let's do this.
All right, first decent hill, a little bit short, but here in a few miles, we're going to be pretty much heading uphill consistently for a while. Still able to maintain, without trying hard, about 17 miles per hour up that hill. So at this point, we're gonna start heading uphill for, looks like at least several miles. I'm gonna just guess from here at least 3 or 4 miles until we get close to the base of the mountain. So I'm gonna take a trip reading. I am at 5.8 miles now, still showing a full battery, been maintaining, like I said, an average of 18 miles per hour. And let's see how long this hill is. And if I had to guess, I'd say we're gonna, from when we started to when we get up to the base of those mountains, probably about 1,000 feet elevation. Just my experience in the area, I can guesstimate that pretty accurately. Maybe I'll double check it later and confirm that. All right, it's starting to get steep enough here that I might drop a gear. I've been holding 6 for a while. Where are you at, Chelsea?
I'm 5 right now.
Chelsea already dropped a gear. I'm putting in a fair amount of rider input, but the bike is still helping, so I'm kind of just rolling with it. But I think up past this next stop sign, it's gonna get even steeper. I might end up having to drop a gear for that. Chelsea's back in 6. Look at her turboing off. All right, so I just noticed my battery drop 1 bar. I'm at 8.5 miles total. I've been in high mode, and I've been keeping my rider input such that the bike is always assisting in using energy. And we've been going uphill for probably at least half of that. All right, so just after we did that update and started riding, Chelsea's bike dropped 1 bar on the battery at 9 miles. So she's a couple points behind me because I went like half a mile with 1 bar drop, so not too far off so far. After a long stretch of hill, I've dropped my 2nd bar on the battery. I'm at 12.4 miles. Now, it may not seem like much, but I'd say a better portion of this last 12 miles was at least slightly uphill or fairly steep uphill. I know a lot of times GoPros really don't do angles justice, but we've been doing some, I don't know, probably at least 25-degree slopes, if I had to guess. How's your battery look?
Oh.
No, it ain't.
It's just in 1 bar.
-1, so Chelsea's -1. So again, mine's dropped a bar slightly quicker than hers, and that is to be expected. I'm sitting on probably 45 to 50 more pounds than her, and my battery's a year older and got 1,200 more miles on it. So just to give you guys an idea of over time how these systems perform and with different riders. We are cheating now. We're on the full coast. Oh yeah. No hands, no feet. There you go. Now you know. So Chelsea and I were just talking about, you know, battery and how it's going to get kind of skewed as we start to go back, because we're almost to halfway. We're down to 3 out of 5 bars. Miles, I'm at 15.9. So you would think, okay, you're going to get about 30-35 miles. Well, if we were to turn around now and start heading downhill, we'd be able to go a lot more than that. So we're going to kind of hang around here. I don't think we're going to start going back downhill till we're at 2 bars, because we're just going to gain so much on that downhill mileage wise. We could end up getting to the bottom of the hill and having to ride around more to kill the battery. So we'll do whatever we got to do, but I do want to try not to skew the test, because I do kind of want to get a least case scenario result. So we are going to do some more uphill and kind of run this thing down. All right, my bike just hit 2 bars, 2 out of 5 on the battery life at 19.6 miles. Majority of it uphill. So as I stated before, I think we're going to kind of try to stick to some uphill here and bring it really close before we turn around. That way, even if the batteries do die, it's mostly downhill on the way home, so we can get kind of a more consistent result as far as the least case scenario. All right, look at her go, look at her go. Mine's been down at 2 bars for a little bit. We're trying to get Chelsea's down too, so we're running laps on this hill. The newer battery and the lighter rider, as expected, holding up slightly better. All right, Chelsea's bike finally dropped down to 2 bars. Mine's been holding. I'm at 23.3.
I had to go up a hill 6 times.
We had to run like 10 laps on this freaking hill. Chelsea's down 2 bars at 23.4. Yeah, we went up and down this hill. We went down to like those houses and back up this hill like, I don't know, 10 times I want to say. Bunch of times, but we've got, I don't know, maybe roughly 18 miles to home or something like that. So it's a lot of downhill from here, and then some flat, a few miles of flat. So I'm kind of inclined to run a couple more hills. Don't know, but I think we're going to cut it close either way. Just hit 1 bar remaining on the battery. 24.9 miles after many laps on the hills. So like I stated before, we're quite a ways from home. Not quite 25 miles, but I don't know, probably 18 or 20 or so. I'm thinking now that we got 1 bar, we'll start heading back, and hopefully this thing dies on the way back, but not too far from home. If not, it's mostly downhill, so no biggie. And the only reason I say that is just because the e-bikes are a little bit sluggish when they're not energized. So it's not exactly like riding a regular bike. These bikes still pedal pretty well, but they have more resistance than just a non-electric bicycle does. So they're not particularly fun to ride with the motor off unless you're, you know, doing it for strength training or something like that. So anyways, I'm gonna do some downhill. Maybe I'll on one of these big hills, I'll get a clip of me trying to get this thing up to some speed. I've had this thing up around 35 miles per hour before on a hill. Obviously I'm well beyond the e-assist at that point, but maybe just for fun, I'll find one of these big hills and see how fast I can go. Chelsea's battery has not dropped to 1 bar yet, so we're going to run a lap or 2 on this hill. So looks like she's gonna get, I don't know, if I had to guess, she's probably gonna get somewhere between 3 to 5 miles more on her battery than I am. We'll see what the total end result is. All right, going for a high speed 35, 38, come on, let's do 40, 39, 40.2, 40.5. Oh yeah, that was good. 40.5 miles per hour. All right, folks, finally the headwind did it. My bike just switched into eco mode. My battery is flashing, and eco mode is a substantial difference in assist. So this thing is probably getting ready to die here soon. Last I checked with Chelsea, she was still sitting at 2 bars. So we're getting close to the end of the rope here. Let me see what the miles are. 36.2. So right around that 36 mark, mine kicked in to eco mode. Flashing battery, 1 bar. Chelsea, what is your battery at?
2 bars.
Chelsea has 2 bars still, and mine is getting close to done. All right, Chelsea just switched, or her battery just depleted down to 1 bar. How many miles?
38 miles.
38 miles. So what a difference in eco coming back up this overpass. I think I came up this in like 5th or 6th gear on the way in, if I remember correctly. I am in 1st gear now, going 8 miles per hour. So yeah, the bike definitely does a great deal to help you. And Chelsea, she's still in high mode, and she's just smoking me up there. My bike just switched to off. The output on the motor is to 0. Now, there is still some power in the battery. Like if you look down on the battery pack itself, it is still illuminating 1 bar. Obviously the display is still illuminated. The miles that happened was about 39.45. So it is in off. But my guess is that Shimano did program this thing so that for safety purposes, you still have power to your display and your lights. That includes your rear brake light and your front headlight, because the front headlight's still on. So, okay, I am in off. Let's see when Chelsea's goes. I was at about 39.5 when that happened. Well, that is going to conclude the test for today. My bike is fully depleted as far as motor output, down to actually turn the motor off, and it will not let me select any power settings. The battery still does have power. As you can see, there is 1 bar illuminated, and that is at 41.2 miles total since we started the trip. Chelsea's bike still has 1 bar. It did not go into flashing mode yet, so she still could ride high. So unfortunately, she's got some stuff she needs to do, so we're not gonna be able to run hers all the way down. But you can see you get nearly 40 miles in hilly conditions in high mode in hot weather. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you got any suggestions for something for us to do another time, hit us up in the comments and let us know. Anyways, see you next time.